Okay, wow, that's not working. Okay, am I live? There we are. Okay, let's get this on the road. No one's probably here yet, so it doesn't matter too much. Okay, I'm here. Anybody else here? 4 are watching. Well, 2 of them are probably me. Okay. Let's get over here. Is anybody there? Okay, Upcycle Club and Neutrino. Excellent. Okay, it's early morning. Well, not that early. It's 9 o'clock in the morning here in Tbilisi, Georgia. Where are you, a couple of folks from? Let me know. And there is a delay on my side. It's about 20 seconds or more. So, yeah, that's just life. And let's see. Okay. So we are indeed going to be doing our fundraiser. I assume the people, oh, Cyprus, 7 a.m. Okay, well, there's a place I wasn't expecting. I thought it would be mostly, I didn't think I'd be getting any Europeans yet. I was doing this mostly for the America later evening in the East Coast and early evening on the West Coast, and maybe Australia. But hey, I'll take Cyprus. And let's see. So let me see how this camera works. I'm just testing. I'm still getting the hang of this whole thing. It's different than live streaming. I'm using the StreamYard, and when I do that, what that means is that I'm going through a secondary system. The nice thing about this, let's see what this does. It looks a little better. The nice thing about this is it allows me to invite people on to talk with me. And I don't know if you've seen my, I don't know if you've seen my, I gotta remember not to look at the YouTube channel for anything but what I should be looking at them for, and because it's a delay and it confuses a person like me. So what am I trying to do here? Well, I am trying to get my large library. Actually, let me play this, and this will take 4 minutes long. If you haven't watched it already, it will help you to understand what's going on here. And this is just my announcing of the fundraiser. Maybe you've seen this video already. I'm looking at the statistics. Most people haven't. So let's watch this.
We're going to devote our energies to sports and gardening, all the cultural pursuits as far as they're concerned. In fact, we're going to put the Dooms to sleep. Meanwhile, we dig.
Greetings and welcome to The Anadromist. This is Burn Power, and it's officially time to start this weekend, beginning my quest to raise the funds I need to get a massive library, my massive library, not just any random massive library, from Haines, Alaska, across 12 time zones to Tbilisi, Georgia. Do you hear what I'm saying? This library weighs over 12,000 pounds, that's 6,000 kilograms. And it's not going to be cheap. It's about $12,000. Fortunately, I popped on a couple of weeks ago to test out whether I could do this and earned about $600 immediately. I'm expecting I will get more. I will also be doing this on Facebook. If I can get it to work on Twitter, I'll do a little bit over there. But a lot of it's going to be here. So pay attention. If you see me live, come. And feel free to contribute in any way you wish. I really can't do it without your help. So if my work means anything to you, this is the way to show it. Small amounts or grand amounts, everything will help. And I'll need a bit of each, I'm sure. I'm also using the same GoFundMe link as before, as well as PayPal. Ignore the amount listed on GoFundMe. That was from several years ago. And I also used it for people sending me their money for the gathering in Georgia. So that's not the amount to watch. I will have a piece of paper with the amount to watch coming up here. So less than $12,000 now. We'll say $11,500. So it's going. That was just a couple hours. Hey, I've got over 2,400 subscribers here, and if 500 of them give something, I'm there. That's the way I look at it. So, but even 200, I mean, it's just, who knows what people will give. But also, if you see that I'm online, there'll be times I'm using the, I keep forgetting the name of the thing. I want to say Crossfire, no, cross-hatching. What is it? StreamYard. Thank you. Thanks for reminding me. A system which will allow me to bring other people on and talk. And I did this last time with James, who has his channel, 20th Century Arts, and we had a great discussion. I put that up. So this is also a time for that sort of thing. I'll also be showing videos to give myself a break. I'm not going to be doing this 24/7 because I can't, because I would die, and you don't want that. But now it's time for the Herculean task. So please, you can help today, or you can ignore me, and or you can help today and then ignore me, or you can watch me when I go live on different platforms throughout the weekend and bring questions. Come aboard to talk with me and help out. And by the way, if I don't get there this weekend, I'm going to have to get going. Although I will stop by, say, Tuesday to allow the American Thanksgiving weekend to go forward, and so I'll start at the next week after that. I appreciate anything that you can give, and any help, and meeting people online. And thanks for all your subscriptions, and thanks for everything you've done. Thanks for all the people who have already become members and have contributed to the channel. It's amazing what people do. See you there. Or is it here? And so let's see. Let's get the camera back on me, or I can show you what this board is about. This is what I'll save that. We'll just chat a little bit here. See if anybody is conscious in any part of the watching audience. I'm not expecting that. This is normally not a time I do things, but like I said, I'm doing this specifically for the people in America, particularly on the West Coast, who generally are like California is about 12 hours off from me right now, which is quite, it's like I have to think outside the box. I do know I have Australian people, so maybe they will. Do I have any Asians? Do I have anyone in further east from me in the Asian continent, which would be interesting to know about? Well, let's see. So, you know, the weird thing about doing these fundraisers, and this is, I think I did the first one in, what was it? 2000, not 2009. I got a grant at that point. It was 2012. I originally got a grant to do a puppet tour in 2012. And then I came up with the idea to do a puppet documentary, which I'm still working on. I've got over 40 interviews with puppeteers, but there's just been some practical issues that I've run into, and I need to put them together. I have put some of those interviews on my Gravity from Above channel. But the point is that basically, I am, when I've been doing these, the first one I did was 2012. And of course, inflation takes its toll. The amount I asked for then was something like about $6,000 or $7,000. And that was to help get me to Europe to start this documentary project. And when I did, it was something that it wasn't that difficult. It took me about a month to raise that money. And I would say my thought about where we are inflation-wise is that's a very similar amount to this amount now, because times have changed. The next time I did it, I had already gone to Europe, come back, and then did like about a $5,000 one. I think I got about $10,000 at that time. Then did a $5,000 crowdfunder in 2014, because my computer equipment, as now, was getting woefully out of date, and I needed to upgrade. And so the only way I could do it was to go online and ask for help. And that one was actually like pulling teeth from me, literally. And okay, yeah, sorry about that in Florida. I just noticed, Dajin. But don't worry, I will be in other places as well. But yes, you can have a question on chat, Dajin. I will be doing this in a kind of a back and forth manner here because I've got two different screens set up with two different computers. They're both the same. They're 2012 MacBook Pros because I like that model because it still has the slot for DVDs and Blu-ray, not Blu-rays, but DVDs and CDs, which I use all the time because I'm always adding material from those systems. You can, hey, Dejin, do you want to come on live? I can send you the email link and then we can experiment with live conversation. What do you think? And there's not many people there, so you can't be that embarrassed with let's see, 9 people watching. So yeah, think about it. If you're interested, either that or you can leave a question there, or you can send me an email, which reminds me, I need to open up another channel here so that I can keep an eye on donations. I have 2 sources where people can donate. One is from the usual PayPal, and some people prefer that. And if you want to make sure you get some sort of tax deductible receipt, then GoFundMe is much better. And so I have the links for both of those below. And every contribution helps. So let me know about that. Okay, so I am. What's nice is, let me, I can explain. Okay. No. Dejin, I am about, oh, okay, just donated via PayPal. Excellent. I'll put you up on the big board in a moment. And you'll see how I do this. Okay. Oops. So, yeah. So what I'm about to do is put my email address online very briefly, get it, and well, it's the same one that's below, Reckoning Motions, but I'll put this version up there. And where did that go? There it is. So just use that email address and send me just a message. Then I will take your email from there and I will send you a link for you to join through StreamYard, and then I'll bring you on. And that sounds great. Oh, thank you, Upcycle Club, another $25. Okay, so Upcycle Club, do you want to be known as Upcycle Club, or do you have a first name or some sort of other moniker I can call you? Let's actually, while I'm waiting for Dejin to get in touch with me, hold on a minute. Great. Okay, so we just got $50. So it was worth getting up this morning. Although, how far does $50 get you in today's? Call you ups. Okay, so actually, let me do this while I'm waiting. And hold on a minute. Oh, I know what I have to do. Technology. There's just too much of it. And I am trying new technology, so I'm a little clunky at it still. But let's go up here. This is my scoreboard. These are the names of people who have already given. So let me go over the goal here. The goal overall is $12,000, which sounds like a lot until you realize inflation, etc. So the next thing is we're doing this in chunks. And the first chunk is going to be a freighter has to, we're going to try to get the biggest amount first, which is $6,000. And we're going to put day, that's Jin, isn't it? Day Jin over here at $25. And then UPS or UPS. Do you work for UPS? No, you don't. At $25. So that brings us here. We have a goal. And so what we're trying to do is first get the big money. The big money is the freighter from Seattle, Washington to Poti in Georgia. And that's a 12-hour time zone trip by freighter with the container. The next cost will be the barge from Haines, Alaska to Seattle. That's another $2,000. And then we'll have a train, truck, and delivery to my door with customs, which is, you don't know the customs until you actually get there. But this is the best I can guess at the moment. About $2,000 for that part of the trip. And then finally, my travel, because I have to be there to load my stuff from Tbilisi to Haines to Tbilisi. That's another $2,000. So we just added $50. Let's see how my rudimentary math skills are doing. Gosh, that gives us 5,425 American dollars. That's minus a few fees that PayPal takes out. So I don't know if you heard all of that, but there you are. That was my explanation for where we are and how we're doing. Let me see if Day is there. Okay. So Day, I've got your email here, and I am going to extract. Okay. Come on, we can do this. Okay, sorry a minute. I'm trying to make this work. Okay, got that. Now, Dave, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you the link, and then you're going to be okay, let's see if we can do it that way. Okay, actually, I'll copy the StreamYard link, send it to you in your email. I'll eventually have this system worked out. And here are my instructions. Don't leave your, don't leave your computer on at the same time, because there's a 20-second delay, which gets really confusing. So once you're live, you're just going to have to believe that you are talking to me. So here you go. Hopefully, let me see if that really worked. Yeah, sorry for the clunkiness here. I don't have a moderator. So, okay, so thank you. For that one. Let's see, what else are we doing here? Thank you, Upcycle. UPS for short. And thank you, Day. I haven't seen yours come through yet, but I assume it will. Sometimes these things just get a little delayed. Okay, so let's see if anybody's trying to get in here. Like I said, it takes a few minutes going back and forth. I am going to remove this now because I don't want to leave that up all the time. And okay, so far so good. So we'll have Day, you'll be on here, and there's only 10 people watching, so there's no pressure whatsoever. And let me just see, I want to make sure that the actual link was in there. Sometimes these things get a little funky. Oops. I think I sent it to me. Yes, I did. I didn't. Okay, burn power to Dejin. All right. Okay. All right. Looks like. Okay, well, hopefully that will work, and we'll see what's going on. This took a while last time I did this, it took a while for someone to come on. And just let me know if you've gotten the StreamYard link yet. All right. Okay. This is professional fundraising, which is funny. Anyway, so I did go through this process where I was trying to raise this $5,000, and that was like pulling teeth. And that was like an existential crisis for me. Now, at that point, I didn't have nearly as many Facebook followers, didn't have any YouTube channels, had to do a lot of face-to-face with the people in my Alaskan community, but it just got dark for me. And then I did it a few years later to help me get my well, it was more puppet related, but also travel in Europe. And I didn't have the same problems. A part of it was I changed my viewpoint on these things. I realized, you know what? You just get up, you do it. It's like a job, but it's a way to connect with people. And by that time, I still didn't have YouTube. I didn't do YouTube until I got here. And then I did a fundraiser back in, I think it was early 2021. And you folks were very generous and helped me. And I said that was for the container, and it was, and I thought I would have enough. But the whole, it just didn't feel right to try to bring that here because I didn't have the place. The most important thing was getting the place. So, Dejin, are you trying to get on? Let me see. Okay. Okay, you're still trying. That's no. I'm just looking to see. Yeah, take your time. It's late in the middle of the night for you. It's 9:30 for me in the morning. Oh wait, your guest is on. Okay, as a bug which causes an echo. Google is working to fix it. For now, please ask your guest to wear headphones to avoid the echo, or use a different browser. We've also informed your guest. Okay. Yeah, well, I am very far away from you, and it creates this weird gap. So, and if it's too bad, oh, there you are. Okay, add to stage. Okay, we're gonna do it this way. Hold on a minute. Do it the way for the way the young kids like it. They don't. The younger people like this vertical, whereas older people like the horizontal.
Yeah, horizontal. But, yeah.
It's good to see you, Day. How you doing?
Oh, I'm all right.
Yeah.
How about yourself there?
It's good. You know, it's the weather is great, which is one thing. You're in Florida, so it's always warm there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it like in the 90s?
Actually, it's going down a little bit.
Yeah,
it's been around maybe like 70s or 80s. Past few days it's been raining. So
yeah. Well, Georgia gets hot, but not Florida hot in the summer. And that now it's what is it? It's probably about 55 degrees outside, which is perfect for me.
Ooh.
And but yeah, I've been to Florida. My mother wanted to go there once. She wanted to go to Disney World for Thanksgiving. And I said, I don't want to do this. And this was 1989. She said, but I'll pay for it. And I said, okay, I'll look at this as a sociological test. And I got there. It was in the 90s. I was just like, what kind of place is this? And so
As a matter of fact, I've never been to Disney World.
yeah. Where do you live?
In Florida, like a south part of it, like a Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale? Yeah.
Yeah, just something like that, but not
Right.
close by.
Yeah, I know where it is, the area, but Florida is just the state. I think it's the heat, but also I think it was the fact that the only 2 times I've been there, I've been to Orlando. So and one time we did a puppet show there, and it was one of the stranger puppet shows I did on my trip. It was in a Christian high school, but we'd been to different kinds of Christian high schools on this trip. Although we played in all sorts of places. We played in rock clubs, and we played in a coffee shop, a drive-through coffee shop. But we were at this, I think it was an Assembly of God high school, and it was just, this was really strange to me because the other school we were in was in Minnesota, and I felt like a Christian high school, whereas this one just felt like a regular high school with Christianity slapped over it. So it was,
I've been to church like that here in Florida, actually.
Yeah,
it's like it's a church, but they kind of rented the school property, and then voila, there we go, the church.
Yeah. So, what have you been up to lately? We haven't spoken for a while.
Well, first of all, I think this is our first time speaking.
I think usually because we've texted each other quite a bit.
Yes. That was a while back. To be honest, nothing much. I've been working a lot, like 6 days, and on the maybe like Sunday, just spend time with the family. Usually, I would like to go to church, but just with the circumstances, just keeps me at home.
I understand.
Yeah.
So, and you're doing what? What is your work occupation again? What do you do with your time?
At the moment, we make the what do you call, kind of like a custom jewelry.
The
custom jewelry, jewelry business.
Okay.
Made out of rings, earrings, like precious metal, gold, silver.
Oh, okay. I can understand that. Gold and silver, interesting materials. How long have you been doing that? Do you do the actual working with the gold and silver, or are you back working in the office?
Both. Both. We had to melt the gold and silver to make the precious, like the rings and nameplates and rings and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I think I've been doing, let me see, since 2021, around the Thanksgiving time. So maybe like a year, maybe 2 years, something like that.
Okay. All right. So is this
a little while?
Right. Okay, that's an interesting thing to do. I didn't know you were doing that. That's kind of cool. I think when we started talking, you were doing chatting. You were doing something else.
The first time, let me see, when I found out about you through the Pastor Paul, we were selling watches, the wrist watches. So I repaired those and put batteries, the time, that kind of stuff, and then I kind of transitioned to kind of the jewelry making business.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So, do you have any hand in the creative side of it, or are you just mostly doing the practical?
At the moment, practical. Creative side, my boss does first of all, before we bought the laser machine to do some of the jobs, he did it. It was a handmade, like a custom made jewelry. And then after we bought those jewelry machine to cut some of the frames of the like nameplates and certain type of thing, it's a little easier, but we do have to do some, let's say, little minor detail in hands.
Right.
Yeah. So there is like a combination of a little machine thing, and then a combination of you have to do some handworks. Let's say that your name is Bird, for example. Let's say somebody want to make a nameplates, and we have to, type the name, cut the name, and then make the like a little frame. What do you call, like kind of engrave, and then make a little design and stuff like
I
that.
get it. I get it.
Yeah,
Yeah. They have there are bazaars here where people, they're all different kinds of bazaars, and some are for food, some are for items, but there's one underneath the main train station here that's nothing but jewelry, and so you walk through it, and it's just I would say maybe 2/3 of the people selling, maybe more, are women. And what it is they have each one is a little desk, just a couple of feet across, maybe not even 3 feet. And they have these little cases. They open up and close their glass, and they all bring. It's like they're all selling jewelry that they're getting from different places, and it's like, so everyone has their own jewelry business, and there's just literally hundreds of them.
Right.
So it's just a fascinating thing. I had some friends visiting the last. I had the guys come here for the gathering in Georgia, and then my French friend Paulette, who is a puppeteer, she came here, and I walked her through there as well. It's such an unusual. I've never seen anything quite like this before. Although the way I used to live in New York City, and I don't know if you know about 47th Street in New York City. 47th Street is where the diamonds come into America.
Okay.
And so I was telling her, one store on 47th Street is worth all of these put together, because it's such expensive.
Oh, yeah.
So, but yeah, it's an interesting world, and then there's the question of who was it who asked this? I think it was Aldous Huxley. Has a whole lecture. He was talking about psychedelic drugs and such, but he was asking, why are we attracted to shiny things like diamonds?
Good question.
Like gold.
Right.
And one of the theories, and that he had done a lot of research on this, but one of the theories was that they represent something like perfection to us. They are objects. For instance, in the case of gold, it never corrodes. It never rusts, and so it has this feeling of being eternal. And the same with diamonds. Diamonds, are very hard, and traditionally it was always very difficult to cut them. And so there's something about objects that are these shiny objects that his feeling was it was our desire to watch, to see the eternal, and which is what attracts us to the shine and the gold, which I think is an interesting thing. I'm not sure if I completely agree with it, but I do find it worth thinking about.
I think Jonathan Peugeot maybe say something a little similar. It's like whenever you do watch somebody that say like do YouTube video, whatever, TikTok, whatever, it's kind of like you're kind of putting up the slide kind of shining or something like that, which I never thought about it that way.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know, maybe there's something to it. I guess there's surely something to it.
Yeah. So,
it's either that or you dress up as a black guy, like Men in Black, like Johnny Cash or something.
Well, yeah, I think all colors have. There's symbolisms. Each culture has a different symbolism. So, for instance, if I'm not mistaken, in Korea, would white be symbolism for death?
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Would you?
I left Korea when I was little.
Yeah, because I know in China and I think in Japan, white is symbolic of death. Just like in Europe, black is symbolic of death. Not that that's not the only thing it's symbolic of, but in a way they represent the same thing, and they're both the absence of colors. So, but of course, philosophically, culturally, we interpret those absences differently. So but I think every color has associations with it. So it would be very odd to find a culture where, say, green represents death, except green can represent death when it's involved with decay. So, for instance, mold.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, certain kinds of mold.
Interesting.
It's the same with orange. Orange can represent, uh, it can represent, for instance, orange is used in certain Hindu robes, but it can also
Oh,
represent
yes.
death. And it represents death this time of year. You see the orange leaves, they're dying.
Uh-huh.
You
Right.
see, what is the other thing? Well, the pumpkin is interesting. So one of the color combinations you see in America this time of year is orange and black.
Mm,
And that's a very powerful signal to us. It's the orange of decay and the black of death.
right.
And I think the Chinese red is luck and gold. I think red and gold together as a combination is very
Uh-huh. I think
strong.
I heard something like that.
Yeah. So, but for us, red usually doesn't signify luck in the same way it does in Chinese culture.
Right.
So,
Where this seems like blood like that or something. So it's like,
and
or
passion.
passion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
passion.
well, the red heart emoji, it means, oh, I
Uh-huh.
love this. So it's very interesting. So, do you have any specific thoughts or questions that have come to you?
I do have one actually, one particular one because I was talking to my little sister yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, I sometimes mention about you and your videos here there, and yesterday
Right.
we had some interesting conversation about other things, and the topic of cute and creepy came up,
Uh-huh.
and what is it? So I watched your video obviously a while back, and
Yeah, I
try to
still haven't
remember some of the
finished that.
things. Yes, I that video is still wow. What is it? So my sister asked me because like the cute that we're using now, it wasn't like the cute. It was I think you mentioned it was acute, and then somehow
Mhm.
kind of like transition into everybody use cute as like this big eye creature, little either dolls or in the like
Yeah,
animations or whatever.
right.
And she asked like what how does that transition kind of happen like like in between like
Okay, how
it
did
was
it
a
happen?
cute and then and
Yeah.
then
Well,
it's
it works
cute.
like this.
There has to be like something in between,
Acute
and I
means,
don't remember.
acute means sharp.
Right.
So, and what's interesting is, so that the word was used in the late 19th century to describe certain attractive but very intelligent women, right?
Right.
So you can see how an intelligent woman would be considered acute, sharp, quick-witted, good thinking.
Right.
But she was also, the important thing is that she was attractive. Then the word was cut down from acute to cute. So
Right.
it still meant sharp. But then what happens, the way these things often work, for instance, if I say this phrase, oh, that's really cute. Have you ever heard it said like that? Like if someone comes in and makes a mistake or says something stupid, someone else could say, "Oh, that's really cute,"
Oh,
but
it's
it
like a
doesn't
little
mean cute.
negative.
It doesn't mean
Okay.
cute. It means
Right.
it's an ironic use of the word cute, but it
Cute.
still means sharp.
Mm.
So, but now what they've done is they've made it ironic, so now it means dull. So you're slow.
Right.
So the thing is that turns around. Like Michael Jackson had that whole bad song, but bad meant good. And you'll hear people today go, "Oh, that's sick," meaning that's really good.
That's
They
really
don't
cool.
mean
Yeah, yeah.
Bill. Well, it's the same kind of a thing where cute was going like, oh, that's cute, meaning that's dull. But all cute things are baby-like now to us. And baby-like things are never sharp.
Uh-huh.
So somehow that went with this you had this attractive woman, but then it moved into an ironic use of it, and eventually it turned into soft, not sharp things.
Right.
This is one of these weird things in language that sometimes happens. And so it was applied to babies. So, oh, that baby's so cute. That baby kitten is cute. You know, that little child's hammer is really cute. And then from there, it eventually got turned into, you have the second stage of Mickey Mouse, which is really the point at which you started creating the round-headed creatures with the big eyes. The first stage has biggish eyes, but and this is what I'm going to get to in my. I have to do the history of cute. One of the interesting things is if you go back into the ancient past, before the Roman era, you would see these statues with big eyes, but they weren't cute. They were kind of mysterious and frightening. So, but later, the eyes got to be more human size in many cultures, and it was only when Disney, well, it was before Disney, there was something, but I'll save that as the surprise for the video because it comes from somewhere very dark, we'll say. Yeah, no, the big eyes did not just spring up naturally. It came from, I'll give a little bit away. And by the way, folks, if you're watching, we are fundraising here, and I've raised $50 this morning. If I can get my total, right now, I've raised $5,425. If I can get up to 1,000, no, I've raised 600. Oh, what am I doing? 600 and I've gotten 640, 600 and $675 I've raised. If I can get up to 1,000, I will play for you a preview of the video of the Exorcist Believer, or at least part of it. So we'll think about that.
Did you already made that video already? The Exorcist
video? That's going on the Anadromist. So anyway, back to this, and the link is down below the description. That's why I'm here and live, is to make money. I'm not talking to you right now. I'm talking to everybody.
Yes, I know.
And so yeah, we're trying to get to a $6,000 goal to get the first part, which is the freighter from Seattle to Poti in Georgia, 12 time zone trip. So that's $6,000. So right now we're working. We only need $5,425. I've made a mistake. No, I've written the wrong thing up there, but that's all right. So we only need. I'm subtracting, not adding. My math skills are dying.
Give some dollars there.
Yeah. We need more. If I can make the total from, we started at 625 this morning, and then just made $50. If we can get up to $1,000, I will maybe get that early to people. We'll see. Anyway, and I'm only going to be here. I'm going to be here at least another hour or two, maybe two, but we'll try this. So if anyone has questions, think about it, and if anyone wants to come on and talk with your question, or you can just put your question in the chat. So, all right. So thanks Upcycle for your comment there on the evolution of words. So I think where was I? Yeah. Okay, I'll spoil a little bit of the history of Mickey Mouse. Hold on, let me find an image of what I'm looking for. online.
Uh-huh.
Well, I can't really do it. So, but no, I don't know if you ever watched my lecture on minstrel music. It's called The Most Taboo
Okay.
Music in America. And I talk about the blackface imagery.
I might have watched it, but that
It
was
was an
you
early
made that a
video.
few years ago, right?
But the point is, they had big eyes. And
Right.
Mickey Mouse is actually directly related to blackface imagery. And blackface imagery is some of the first really commercial imagery.
Huh.
And I'm going to prove this point very clearly when that video finally comes out. So, I have a whole book on the subject. I mean, it's not like I came up with the idea and then realized other people had too. So,
Right. Oh.
yeah, so that's really strange that our conception of the cute and they would have big round faces on these posters and such. And so it went from there into cartoons, and there are clues to Mickey Mouse. So you just see them and you go, oh, okay, that's where this is coming from. Not saying that Mickey Mouse is evil or racist. For me, the problem is it's the way imagery is strained through popular culture. And one of the things about this minstrel music, besides all the racist stuff, was that it was taking this, it was trying to sell a certain product and getting really confused about it. And so making sure no one got the rougher edges of the product. And they made it a round, soft kind of thing, which was funny. They don't look cute yet. They look funny, and there's a difference. So let's see, what does Upcycle say here? Okay, see ya, Upcycle. Thank you, and thanks for the contribution. So, is there anybody else on there online who wants to identify themselves and say hello and where are you listening from? Let me know. Right now, we're talking with Dae-Jin, one of my older subscribers, and you've been near the beginning of the channel.
I think so.
Yeah,
Like when you spoke to Pastor Paul for the first time, I think. I don't know, that was maybe 2-3 years ago, maybe.
yeah. And
Around
yeah,
that time, I listened to your video. I said, "Oh man,
okay.
this guy's something."
Good to know. That's good to know.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So tell your friend or the person that the cute has very strange origins. And one thing that people don't realize, one thing I'm going to show very clearly, is that dolls used to not be cute. One thing I pointed out in the Barbie video I did is everyone says, like the Barbie video starts off, the Barbie movie starts off saying, all the dolls were babies, and then Barbie came along, which is completely not true. It used to be all the dolls were mostly adults. And then in the 19th century, they were turned into babies, and they were turned into these porcelain babies. And then, but those babies, like when people look at them today, the word they use for them, creepy.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
So I guess there's some really odd connection going on there, right?
Exactly. So creepy and cute, as I will eventually point out in my series, are the opposites of the are in a way opposites of each other. So people want to be cute. They want to identify as being cute. They want to be around people who treat life in a cute way.
Yeah,
there are people who reject that and would rather be considered creepy. But creepy has a couple of different definitions, but they all circle around the old. So who we got? Oh, that Laura person. And you're headed to bed. Okay, well, it's good to see you, Laura. And remember, actually, Laura, do you have any time tomorrow? I'll be coming on. If I know you're free at a certain time, I'll make sure I'm here and we can have just a bit of a chat. Let me know. Give me your Minnesota or Michigan time or where Wisconsin time. So it's all the same. It's all Midwest time. So and if you think you know you're going to be around at a certain time, the only time that's really hard for me is the middle of the night, which would be your afternoon and early evening. But there are mornings. Okay, and meanwhile, back to this talking about
cute and creepy.
Yeah, well, the thing about what's happening now is just as the cute is being more baby-like, the creepy is now becoming more old. So that old people are almost just considered creepy. And I know plenty of younger people who just think old people look creepy. And especially the more we use things like filters on on Instagram or something like this, use a filter to present yourself without lines, and I was just reading about a movie star who I kind of liked, but I said, man, her appearance has changed. And you realize she's made herself look strange. It's almost like people are trying to look like
a surgery.
Yeah. Well, for instance, there's this thing in here called buccal fat, and it makes some people's cheeks look a little full. You got some, I've got a bit, and but what's happening is they're having these operations to remove this stuff permanently, so your face always looks like this.
Oh, I mean, the South Korea is like a number one, a plastic surgery going on there.
Yeah, I've been watching that, and
it's
on that, which is
I mean, what is it? Sorry, go ahead.
Well, what's interesting is I just saw yesterday that parents are having their children do the eye surgery when they're like really young, like before the age of 10, just because they want it to look like it's just normal, and
or just I don't know. I'm just thinking because it maybe just me, maybe not. But I said sometimes thought about there's I forget where I heard it. It's when the society kind of breaks down and things going on. Let's say you're from the West, you look at the East, or you look at different countries. Go, hey, I really like those guys, or I like how they dress up. So they kind of imitate or copy of the not of your own cultural.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is in Korea, the kind of nose surgery that girls are going to get is to give more definition to their nose. In Georgia, the girls want exactly the opposite, because the Georgian girls' noses are very prominent. And so what they want is a smaller, you just get this idea.
Like me, my nose.
Yeah. But it's this weird idea. This is the strange thing that we've done to ourselves. I mean, a lot of this comes from just photography, but also the fact that people are all looking at themselves on screens now. So and you see yourself. Now, what's weird is people don't seem to know what they look like on the side. And they get a little freaked out when suddenly it's like, uh-oh, what's happening with my nose here? It's like it's getting weird because they don't understand what they look like. And I had an interesting conversation with one of my female friends recently, and we were talking about how you really don't know what you look like. You think you do because you see yourself in a mirror, you see yourself on cameras, but in fact you don't. And here's a couple of ways that you can tell. For instance, people will often say, well, I see myself in the mirror. Well, you can only see yourself in a certain way. So, I'm looking at the camera and I can still see myself,
Right.
but you can't see a full profile of yourself. I mean, and when people see that for the first time in a movie or someone else's photograph of them, they react to it because, do I really look like that? Well, but then again, I remember people used to say to me that, candid photography was best because that showed you who you really are. So that photograph of you just kind of doing something, but it doesn't. Because you've seen photos of yourself and other people, they're kind of like,
Yeah, really.
but you never
Yeah.
look like that. Nobody looks like that because in order to look like that, you'd have to go like, well, I wanted to tell you and stop.
Right.
Never do. Nobody does. We're always in motion, and as a result, we don't look like. And when we're not in motion, we tend to be like asleep or something like that. So our faces aren't stuck in a half open, half closed position. But people will see those photos of themselves and go, "Ew, I don't like me. That's not that. I don't like the way I look." And the truth is, well, that's not the way you look. Nobody actually sees you like that, unless you're stoned, But that's different, But maybe if you're drunk or something, someone will see you like that at a bar, But then again, you've got other problems that are deeper. So I think that let's see how many people. 8. There's 6 people, 7 people watching. Anyone out there want to identify themselves? Identify yourselves. Where were you on the night of October 23rd, 1992? So some people weren't born yet. I was, but
I was a
yeah.
kid.
So we don't really understand ourselves the way we look, and Paul in the Bible says we look at ourselves in the mirror and walk away and forget what we look like. And I think, but we've become a culture obsessed with staring at ourselves, which is really strange then. So then people start to change their appearance based on what they think they see because they don't really see themselves. Like I say, the people getting these operations to remove the buccal fat or to make their faces look more sculptured, whatever the word is, don't understand themselves. They don't understand, for instance, what they've done to their appearance as soon as they turn sideways. That we all see each other sideways. It's much more than you see someone straight on. So you're not looking at people. We're not looking at people the same way. We're looking at people in a different kind of a way. And and I often think, for instance, one thing I've learned is to take, if someone I trust gives me an impression of myself, then, and if they tell me something without me asking, if I say, how do I look? And then they say, you look like this, that's me asking. And so I can't trust that. But if someone says something about my appearance or who I am, and I trust that person generally, I will take that as more accurate than my own impression of myself.
Yeah, I think I did hear something. Again, like I was listening to Jonathan Pedro with this lady. I think talking about that type of deal. It's like people are asking, oh, it's like who are you? Like what do you consider yourself as? What are your personality, this and that? And then the other person goes, no, I don't know really about myself. You have to ask my friends or family member. They know more of me than myself. Yeah, in a sense. So yeah.
Certain things you know about yourself better than other people, but there are also other things people know about you. For instance, have you? This has happened to me, and I'm sure this happens to me from other people. That you'll spend time with someone, and in a few minutes, after spending an hour talking, you'll say, "Oh, this person is very interesting." Now, if only they wouldn't do this thing that you saw. Like, for instance, if only they wouldn't keep interrupting the conversation, if only they didn't get
Right.
angry over little things, if only they would stop looking at their phone, you know, whatever
Right.
things. But they don't see what you just saw.
Mm. Yep.
And that's the
That's
same
true.
with the way other people see us. You know, there's things we're doing. So I think one of the more important things in human life is to get yourself into relationships with other people who can be the people you trust is the key here. It can't be just
Mhm.
random people.
Yep.
And people who will be honest and will
Mm.
occasionally tell you what you need to hear. You can't hear it all the time, because if you hear it all the time, and this is the problem with some, you know, sometimes our mothers are like that. My mother was like that too, tell you all sorts of
Uh,
things, you know, that, okay, Mom,
yes.
I got it. You can stop. Okay. but that's
Yep.
mothers. Mothers are a separate category of existence. So, but I think that you know, we need people to help correct our impressions of life. Because obviously, just from a purely uh, ontological level, a pure existence level, we are clearly not, we clearly don't understand ourselves. And we can't see everything in the world. No one is
Mm.
omniscient. No one is omnipresent. No one can understand everything. So we've got to have
Yep.
lots of flaws and errors in our judgments and such. I mean, this is why I'm a Christian, is because Christianity basically says that all the time. It all says you have to confess your sins, you need to change your behavior, you need to uh, have fellowship with other people, you need to give God your faults, you know. Whereas, I don't know, I've been kind of looking at Taylor Swift lately, and I go like, well, who is in control of Taylor Swift besides Taylor Swift? She is, just
Mm.
has herself, and all the people, all the
And
young
her
people.
management.
Yeah, but my guess is that
Oh.
she's pretty much. I mean, when she was what, about 12 years old, she got her family to move to Nashville.
Uh-huh.
I don't know many 12-year-olds who can get their family to move houses for them. That's a pretty strong individual. So what that means
Oh.
is she does listen to people, but I think there's a point when you see her, the concert. I saw this concert video or a movie of her,
Mhm.
and she's like a god. And
Oh yeah.
when the people there are all just screaming, it's like the Beatles,
Mhm.
but it's this, you know. And people say they forget what even happened. Well, that's what happens when you scream for 3 hours. When your
Oh
emotions,
yeah.
like, you know, people are saying she's cast a spell on them. No, it's that you screamed for 3 hours, and most people have no
Right.
idea what's going on after a while. You're not sitting there. You don't go to that kind of show to be, what should we say? You don't go to a Taylor Swift concert. I mean, I don't, but you don't as a
Mm.
young teenager, or even in your 20s, in order to sit back like you're at a symphony concert and listen to the music.
Right. Right.
You go
Yep.
there to just indulge in your personal nostalgia, in your emotional states, and in the states created for you by the spectacle. And it is a
Mm.
spectacle of a show. But what struck me is like, my goodness, she has such power. And
Yeah.
but the power is, she's like a goddess, but it's the goddess of the self. And I think
Oh.
if you are this, if each person becomes their own self without
Uh-huh.
connection to others, without connection to God, that you can do, you know what's best for you. And I think, no, nobody knows what's best for them.
Yeah. Yeah. True. True.
You know, not
What
really.
is it? Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Because Jonathan Pezzo also did that video with a Lil Nas, some rapper or something like that
yeah,
about he had this the video about the self-image thing going on. I thought, man,
yeah,
that's yeah, just a lot about nowadays. This is about me, myself, and I type of deal going on.
right. But
And even I noticed a little,
that creates in our society a very much a uh, it's like stage fright. It's the self consciousness where you imagine you know, and especially social media. It's you're being seen all the time, but you're not being known. You're only being seen. So people worry so much about your behavior, but by being seen, you become just self-conscious. And I just I mean, in a sense, they mean the same thing, but I differentiate between self-consciousness and self-awareness. I mean, like I say, they kind of mean the same thing, but they don't. Self-consciousness means being uncomfortable with being seen, whereas self-awareness means, oh, I realize I'm uncomfortable being seen, so I need to work against that. You know, I have a bit of, you know, you could look at it this way as the difference between vanity and wisdom. Vanity is always thinking about what you look, the appearance, but wisdom is, you know, having learned certain things. So we live in a time where, I mean, like I said, this is what goes back to, I don't know, the way we are, the way we live, and we now live in a time where essentially the religion of the self is the religion of the majority of people in the West, and it's increasingly spreading, so that people here in Georgia, people in Korea, people in, you know, South America, people in Russia, are all
I noticed.
getting the same disease, same religion.
Yeah. One thing I heard from my boss's wife, she's saying nowadays like the Koreans, maybe I don't know, you heard this either statistics or stories or something. Uh, the population of South Korea is going down dramatically because
Right.
they're not first of all getting married and having kids anymore. And
Right.
then on the one of the social media, my boss was looking at it. It's like this lady is saying, "You know what? I don't want to have the responsibility of raising a child. Therefore, I'm
Right.
just gonna have a fun. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
go no
Yeah.
kids."
Well,
And people cheering on. It's like you
that
go.
is
It's like whoa.
absolutely a result of the religion of the self.
Right.
And
Right.
that is its main outworking is that, you know, I just want you, and more, I'm particularly among millennials and Gen Z. They are just basically saying, I don't understand why I should have children.
Yeah. That's and
And
I think I asked this question like a while back about what is it people like substituting the children with the pets, with the dogs, the
oh yeah,
cats, or whatever.
and
Yeah.
they use the word uh, dog parent, cat parent.
Right.
You know, my cat child. I've heard these things, and I'm sitting there saying, "Don't you understand what you are saying? What you are implying?" And they will act as if the responsibilities they have for their animals is somehow equivalent to the responsibilities one would have for a child.
Raising a child. Right.
And it's not in any, you
Yeah.
know, only on this on the most rudimentary level. Because your cat and your dog don't grow up and in about 12 years say to you, "Why are you doing this to me?"
Yeah, they just bark and poop or something. Like this is also like a little distinction. I remember seeing it because I came to America when I was 13. I remember back in the day in Korea, we had dogs, like two dogs, but we
Mhm.
didn't bring them into our house or anything. They have their little We
Right.
I don't know, built like a little dog shed house thing, whatever. Give
Right.
them food. You stay over there. We're sleeping in our room houses or whatever. And then you see them, you kind of just pet and say, "Oh, nice dog," and you
Right. Right.
move
Right.
on. And then I came to America, and like our parents and I see it's like the people with like office buildings. You go see, you should have like a portrait of maybe your family. Instead, you have the pictures of dogs and cats going on. Whereas my dad and my mom goes, "What's wrong with these people? Why do you have a pictures of dogs
Exactly.
and cats?"
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
This is the religion of the self. This is one of the manifestations of it. You know,
right, right.
here, what's interesting here in Georgia is there are people that have dogs and cats living
Uh
with
huh.
them, but not that
Mm,
many. What
mm.
what you find instead is you find dogs wandering the streets everywhere, and they have little clips in their ears that say they've been neutered and they've had shots for rabies.
Ooh.
But people go out and the dogs are pretty friendly. People feed them,
Uh
and
huh.
but they don't interact with the people the way
Right.
that I mean, to an American, this would be extremely weird. And
Right. Yes.
my French visitor recently just said she was so impressed, though, that in some countries they just hate the dogs that live outside, whereas here the people seem to love them. And it's the same with the cats. The majority of
Mm.
cats in this country live outside, and they don't come
Yeah.
outside. And not here because I'm up too high. Although I have a place where I put the cat food outside.
Uh huh.
There's places here where I take the bones and bits of fat and meat for the cats and dogs. But
Right. Right.
in my old place, I used to have the cats coming into the house, and not that I wanted them there, but they lived all around me, and I got to know them after a while, and that's a pretty normal experience for people here. And
Mm.
so I had a friend's Georgian woman, young Georgian woman, say to me, "I really like cats," but she didn't have any. But you have this sense of adopting all of
Uh huh.
these animals on the streets that they become yours.
Mm.
But what's strange then is then I saw how cats lived outside in a way I'd never seen it before.
Oh yes.
And what I realized, so then I said, I was noticing all this strange behavior I'd never really thought about with cats before. So I went to look online for some sort of study on cats living outside, not being pets.
Mm.
And the only things I could find, for instance, on YouTube, I would find, they were trying to catch the cats and give them homes. But no one had done a study on the way cats actually live. I couldn't find that.
In the wild.
Not well, it's
Right.
not quite the wild. It's the city.
Uh huh.
So we know that cats like to catch birds. We know that cats like to do things. What most people don't realize is that, for instance, I would hear the cats mating rather loudly and angrily. And one tomcat, male cat, came with he had scratches across his face, and I think he got
Oh
that
geez.
from the cat. But then
Mm.
again, so I would hear them giving birth in the ceiling, and then I would hear the kittens up there going meow meow meow, and then I would never see any because they all died because
Oh.
the male cat came along and killed them. And this, as soon as you realize this, you're like, my goodness, this is
Oh
like
my gosh, it's
not
almost like a
really,
lion.
cats evidently are not particularly cute animals. I mean, we put all
Right.
images of them, we make them into this thing. We put them, keep them in houses, and we make them really, like our pet and everything. But in fact, as soon as they do what they're supposed to do, living outside, it gets really crazy. And yet we've so, at least in the West, I don't know how it is in other cultures, but then again, I have the feeling a lot of people aren't studying cats because we think we know them, but we don't.
Right.
Yeah. And so they are the perfect animal to be part of our religion of the self. And what's interesting about that is we have changed what they are and made it into
They
our
have.
image.
Right.
But in fact, they aren't what we see, because what we're doing is we're seeing them through the lens of the self, of
Oh,
ourself. We're not seeing them as they actually are. Because if you did,
right.
it's the same with dogs. What most people don't realize is if you leave dogs alone, they form packs. If your dog goes out, I lived in Marin County in California, and they had this problem where people would let their dogs out in the afternoon. It's a pretty rich county, and they people would leave their dogs out and let them roam. They have to be free. But what they didn't realize is while their dogs were out roaming, they were forming packs and attacking sheep and other animals,
Oh,
because dogs are dogs. We
right.
change them. But the whole process of the way humans interact with these animals, I think, is a really fascinating thing. So let me just remind anyone watching, we got 7 people watching right now, that the point of me being here is not to talk endlessly, which evidently I can, but it's to try to raise money to get my stuff to go to Alaska. And I'm doing it at this time of day, mostly for the people on the Pacific coast, because I know everyone else in America is going to sleep right now. And
Yep.
I think I'll be here for another, I don't know, till 11 o'clock my time, which would be 11 o'clock in California. So right now, you must be way up past your bedtime on the East Coast there. What is
Yep.
it?
It's 1:25 a.m.
Yeah, yeah, 125. So if you're not asleep, if you're asleep, you can't hear me anyway. But anyway, I'm enjoying the conversation here. And if you don't mind, we're having an interesting conversation. I'd like to snip part of it out and use it, unless you don't want to be
Sure.
seen. That would be great. Who is? It's 12:25 in Iowa right now. Thank you. Good to know someone in Iowa is paying attention. That's Central Time.
Yep.
So I guess then Mountain Time would be 11:25, and California time would be 10:25. So glad to see you there, Gray Havens. And so anyway, the point is, let me actually go over for a minute what I'm doing here, and I'll just hang out, and I'll be back. If you need to use the restroom or something, this is a good moment. I'm just going to switch cameras for a minute.
Okie doke.
Okay, um, so let me explain this thing here to everyone who's watching. This is my sheet. $12,000 is how much I have to get to bring my library here. And but we're doing it in sections. The biggest one, I figured we'd tackle that first because that's the hardest one. And that is, I need $6,000 for the freighter that goes from Seattle, Washington to Poti, the port in Georgia. There are other costs that will come later. The barge going 1,000 miles down the coast from Haines, Alaska to Seattle will probably be around $2,000 plus other costs. And then to get it from the port through customs to my door is going to require probably at least over $1,000 for customs, probably. And then that's an unknown cost. It could cost more. But then I have people who are going to move the stuff for me by train and truck to get it here, and that's going to be a bizarre thing. And then finally, I need to be there because all my stuff is in a storage locker in Haines, Alaska, and I need to go open it and put everything. I need to have a garage sale, get rid of stuff I don't need, that I realize now that I don't need. So a lot of practical stuff that I've bought here all over. So I need to get my stuff from. I need to personally go from Tbilisi to Haines and back to Tbilisi, about a $2,000 round trip. So this is my goal. And so far, since I started doing this, I've raised. I've got the number wrong here. So I've raised $675, which is not bad for a beginning. And so my math is weird here, but that is working on the $6,000 goal. So that's not bad. It's over 10%. So some of the people I'd like to thank is Gil, Alex, James, Sean, Iskander, Chemo, Gregory, James Wallace, Jack Grant, the Chambers, Patrick, and Dejin, who I'm talking to right now, and Upcycle or Ups. And thank you. And if you'd like to join them, the best way to do that is through the best way to do that is through my links below. You can use PayPal, or if you would like to, and someone's going to have to donate more money, and you need if you need what's the word I'm looking for? A tax deductible receipt, you can go to GoFundMe. That's still active, and the link is below. And yeah, and I am going to only be here for another half hour. But if you'd like to talk, I'm sure we could bring you on with Day. I could try this like multiple people. That's like a new concept. And so let me know if you'd like to. Just leave a note, and then what I'll do, I'll put the link to write to on the screen, and then I will get your message and send you the reply. But anyway, there we are. So, all right, back to this. So we were talking about something. So anyway, any more questions? I know you get fascinated by the cute stuff. I think part of it is that Korean culture has probably been taken over by the cute stuff in ways that are very different and more comprehensive than the.
Yeah, it seems to be. It seems to be. I mean, when I was living over there, I didn't think about it much. But I moved to US, and I'm kind of like looking at it as a, I don't know, kind of third eye view or something like that. And I look at my own culture, and I look at it and go, there's something definitely up about this. It's like, okay, I get the part of the respect and everything like that, but nowadays, I hope you don't listen to K-pop music or anything. There's like K-pop music, drama, so.
I've heard enough to know that it's essentially weird imitation Western pop music. You know, it certainly has no Korean roots. You know, I don't hear anything. And I know a bit of the Korean drumming and other kinds of sounds, and I know it has nothing to do with that. So,
right.
But what the Koreans have been so good at, and they've really changed their culture since, say, the 90s, is that they've, for instance, if you were to ask someone what is one of the best countries in the world right now for filmmaking, many people would say Korea. But if you were to ask that question in, say, 1995, no one would have said Korea, even though the Koreans were making films. And a lot has happened. It started in the late 90s, and then it just got the more and more visibility with the films. And it's the same, like no one thought about Korean pop music in the West until, I mean, the last 10 years. You know, I think Gangnam Style was the big.
Yeah, that was
huge.
I had a Japanese friend of mine. He was giving me a ride somewhere, and he put up on that music, and he goes, hey, let me tell you something about this. Now, this music right here is gonna be the biggest thing you ever hear. And I laugh at it and say, there's no way this music will get big. Oh boy,
Right.
I was so wrong.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was,
And,
I got so wrong. Like
well, here's
this?
what's weird. In Alaska, where I lived, in the small town Haines, people were there were people who were homeschooling Christians, and one of the things that they were all doing is watching Korean uh, uh, series dramas because they
Oh,
considered
okay.
them much safer than American dramas for their children to watch.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I thought that was very interesting. But that's also, I said, well, it's interesting that those are coming here now. And it's
Right.
interesting that, that was around the time I started hearing about K-pop. And so something happened in Korean culture. I would be also very interested to know when the cosmetic surgery uh,
Hmm.
thing really started going, if it was a similar period. I don't know, but it would be interesting to know.
Yeah, I'm guessing probably around similar that time.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
seems to be.
right. And a lot of this also seems to be that related to the internet, because prior to that,
Mm.
I used to listen to music from around the world back in the 1980s, and I have a lot of very unusual records from different countries. And these were records made in those countries, and they did not
Mm.
look or feel anything like uh, the kinds of music that we made. And
Right,
uh,
right.
and at a certain point, we used to call that, originally in the beginning of the 90s, 80s, we called that international music because it meant, just music from different nations. By the
Right.
end of the 1980s, it was called world music, and it also assumed that there was a much higher level of production value. And so at a certain point, all the different cultures all started to uh, add more of the technological, but also the pop culture approach of the West. But like in India, it turned into Bollywood. And
Mm.
although one must confess, when one watches an Indian movie or listens to Bollywood music, it still sounds Indian. Whereas when I listen to Korean music, K-pop, and it's similar with most J-pop as well from Japan,
Right.
it doesn't sound traditional.
No,
And
not yeah.
yeah, in Japan, it's because at the end of World War II, it was the first time in history that Japan had ever suffered such a huge loss.
Mhm.
And so they were living in shame, and they said, we have to become like the new people, these Americans. And so they started to imitate. The difference is in Korea, Korea had been taken over by the Japanese, and the
Yes, we.
Japanese had
Mhm.
really uh, done some very strange things to their culture. Also, they were closer to China, and China had long had an influence. But I think then the Korean War really put this, you had these two very black and white kinds of cultures, with obviously
Yep.
North Korea being the black version, but South Korea, for a while, it just seemed like South Korea was this place that had dictators, and things were run in a they also wanted to imitate the West, but it
Yeah,
took
yeah.
a different path than the Japanese. The Japanese, there are still a few images, even in the music, where you say, okay, that's very Japanese. But with the Koreans, they were saying, no, we don't want to be like the past. We want to be these new people who are global.
Mm.
And well, obviously the things that don't change, the food doesn't change. You still have kimchi. you know,
Yep.
uh, and
That's the
and
yeah.
I'm told that like in America, if you want to have a small town, I'm told in America the way it works is this: you need a church and a bar and a grocery store for a really small town. I'm told in Korea you basically, one of the first things you have to have is a pharmacy.
Mm.
You know, you need to get your ginseng. You know, you need to get the traditional medicine and things like that.
Right,
Uh,
right, right.
so but it seems that, for instance, somehow that desire for having a pharmacy in a little town ends up as cosmetic surgery. I mean, don't ask me how that happened, but it ends up
Yeah.
with somehow the people saying, I need my children to look perfect.
Hmm.
You know, every
Yeah,
culture
yeah.
has strange aspects to it.
It's
And
like I forget who told me, but it's like on 18th birthday, the father asked daughter, "Hey, what do you want for your birthday?" It's like, plastic surgery for like $10,000. You got it, and bam.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like, wow.
And what's strange to me is when I've seen the before and after pictures, I always say,
Uh huh.
why did you do that? You were fine.
Yeah,
But then that
I
gets
see.
back. You go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, no, I wish I saved this like a kind of what do you say, like an article about so forget maybe year was 2012, 2011, some sort of something like that. You know how there's a beauty pageant, right, in each
Yeah,
country. So they're selecting the Miss Korea in around 2011, 2012. So you have the final 12 candidates of who's going to be the Miss Korea, and then you have the pictures of all these candidates, different names. But now that what I saw in the article was everyone looked the same
yeah,
with a different name, and I thought, what is?
yeah,
This is
yeah,
really weird,
yeah. Well,
all
that's
different name,
goes
and
back
then
to
the joke was. And then the joke was, oh, they gone to the same surgeon to get all the
oh,
plastic
right.
same surgery or something. Yeah, yeah. So I thought, oh
That
man,
is so strange. Well, that's part of what
yeah.
we're talking about at the beginning of the religion of the self.
Hmm.
If the main thing you have that you put your faith in is yourself, then self improvement is the way you express your religious values. And so that includes the way you look, of course. And so you have to look, and because we now globally are more and more people around the globe are living in this visual culture, more and more people in different countries, the cosmetic surgery is going everywhere where anyone has any money and an internet connection.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, yeah.
where it doesn't take place is there are huge areas in south of the Sahara Desert in Africa that don't have internet connections.
Mm.
It's just too poor and such. Interestingly enough, Christianity is doing quite well in those places, but um, but all it takes is an internet connection and money,
It seems
and
to be.
your
Yeah,
life will change, and not for the
yeah,
better.
yeah, yeah. Agreed. Sadly,
Yeah,
and well, this is another thing. Another funny fact about I guess Korea is I don't know about now, but I did hear that it was the Korea has like the biggest church in around the world.
right.
And also at the same time they have the biggest cult
Oh
in
yeah,
in South Korea as well,
right, right.
pretty much
Yeah,
in the same whatever area, something like
yeah.
that. I thought, yeah, Korea, we got something going on that
Yeah,
I
well,
don't know what's
the the evangelist Billy Graham had the biggest meeting of the biggest evangelistic rally in the world in Korea.
uh-huh.
But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I wonder because I know Korea. One of the reasons Korea started adopting more Christianity was because they didn't want to be communists like the Chinese, and they didn't want
Hmm.
to be whatever the Japanese were. So
Right.
they were rejecting the past because that seemed to leave them weak. So many people turned to Christianity. And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure many of them were honest in their conversions. And at the same time, how much of it was done to be, well, this has happened throughout history where people have
Hmm.
adopted Christianity and other religions in order to be on the cutting edge of things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they say there's,
Yeah.
I think there's maybe 50 million Chinese or more who are Christians right now. Someone once said there are more Chinese Christians now than there are in Europe. We're not allowed to know those numbers, though.
Right. Because they're underground.
Because, yeah, that it isn't happening. It is happening.
Right.
It isn't happening. One of the reasons the Chinese have become Christians is because they, among other reasons, I think the communist ideology provides no answers to life. But also, many people say, oh, the Christians were the ones who were so successful in business. And so maybe we will be successful in business if we're Christians. And in fact, I remember it was Os Guinness who went to talk in China, where he was born, actually. And but back during the days of when the Japanese were coming in. And he said that one of the people, the Chinese people, said, we don't understand. Why is it that Christianity made the West so successful, but now people in the West are giving up Christianity? Which is a brilliant question. They just didn't understand that. To them, it was clear. And I think there was probably a similar motivation in Korea, that these things were seen together. But of course, what's happened since then is the new religion of the self has come in.
Yeah. And it seems to be that kind of like infiltrate the churches as well.
Yeah,
in Korea as well, it seems.
Yeah. We underestimate the effect. One of the things is people sometimes ask me, when should I let my child have a smartphone, or when should I let them watch a screen, with a computer, laptop, or something? And what I notice is people always do it too soon these days. Because and my feeling is you should let your child have access to a phone, or before that laptop screen or something, when they know what it is that they're doing. And that is to say, simply saying, oh, I'm just using my phone, is not the answer to that question. It's not simply a device. It is, I don't think you can really allow your kids to use them until your children can honestly articulate that this thing that seems so small is much larger than them.
Right.
Because prior to that, you think you're in control. And you're not. You never are. Habits are created for all of us. I'm no different. And you have to, every now and then you have to, I find myself doing this, even having these YouTube channels or something, and I'm like, oh man, I'm just looking at this too much. Oh, I'm paying too much attention to this. Oh, my habits have changed. Oh, every time I see the red little notification thing on Facebook, I got to check it.
Oh, you gotta click on something.
And what I'm learning, I just finally got a smartphone last year. I started using it. And what I'm learning is, actually I started using it at the beginning of this year, is that why do people have notifications for everything? Do I need a notification for Twitter? Why? Because nothing anybody says to me on Twitter needs to be answered immediately. And that is my test of, do I need this or not? For instance, do I need a notification for the news? No. What news is going to happen? Well, maybe, another September 11th. Well, if there's another September 11th, you know what? Everyone around me will tell me. I don't need the news to get notifications for every possible weird thing going on. I can wait till later in the evening. Do I need with the weather being the only thing? But then again, you know what? You don't need to look at the weather all the time either. I mean, I think if you look at it in the morning, maybe once in the afternoon, you're good. If it might rain. Okay, great. Do I need to, let's see, what other things am I subscribed to? Do I need, do I need,
Facebook.
yeah, Facebook, unfortunately, I do. And the reason for it is if I was still living in Alaska, the answer would be no, for the same reason as Twitter. But here in Georgia, people use Facebook for their notifications of when they're coming to your house. And they all assume you have Messenger on your phone. And when I tell them to get in touch with me just through sending a text message, they don't get it. So for them, Facebook is the way I have to deal with them immediately. On the other side, they don't use Facebook for staying in touch with people. So, you don't send messages to people. Like there are Georgian friends that I have here. I don't send messages to them. Maybe haven't seen them in a year and say, how are you doing? What I do instead is I send them a message that says, let's get together, or something very specific, because that's how they use it. They use it for very specific kinds of things. And it's the same with email. They don't use email for staying in touch with anyone. They use email. For instance, I had a friend here from Germany visiting. She wanted to keep in touch with a Russian friend here, but the same is true for Georgians. And that is, she just wanted to say, how are you doing? And then wait a bit, and then the person would send, and she got in the habit from letter writing of doing this. They don't do that. And the reason is the Soviet world. And with people spying on your letter writing, and you could go be put in prison for what you wrote in the letter, like Solzhenitsyn was. He just mentioned some comment about Stalin. Bam, 10 years in the gulag. So you didn't write letters to people to stay in touch with them like that. So they got out of that habit. So here in Tbilisi, we have some people say about 1.5 million people here. 5 post office for 1.5 million people, and none of them there's only one that's at all very large, which creates big problems for me with the American government, who wants to send me notifications of things in the mail only, and I don't have a mailbox, and there's no regular delivery service. And it's just so hard for anyone in America to comprehend this. Where can we send you a postcard, Vern? No, you can't. I do get packages though, so people can send me things through packages. But I can't get. But if it looks like a package, I can get it through this service called USA to Georgia. But if it's an envelope or a postcard, no, I can't. So it's very strange. So it does create a headache. But that goes back to this thing about, so the systems, the ideologies break down. But now, one of the reasons no one here sends letters also is they all switch to the internet. And so, but they don't use it the same way. So notifications, back to that. I do unfortunately need I need Facebook. I don't even need email, because no one's sending me an email. Like, for instance, no one is going to send me an email that I need to answer instantly, except for a couple of occasions. But most of the time, no. So text messages and Facebook are the only 2 things I get notifications on. Anything else, I just don't need it. And that's what I learned from watching people for 10 years. It's just that I would notice they're in a room, they're constantly distracted by notices. And I said, I don't want to do this to other people. So
yeah.
But again, the system comes in, and the religion of the self is born through all of this, and with a bit of money. You can't have it without money. The religion of the self requires the religion of money to go with it. So
Right.
Well, I am going to let you go here. Do you have any final thoughts before we depart?
Well, thanks for all you do, all the all the all the very intriguing thoughts that you put it up on the YouTube,
Yeah,
and stay healthy, please.
thank you. Thank you.
We need you for
Well,
another, I think, 30, 40 years.
well, well, who knows? You never know.
Right.
Although, well, let's see, I'm 68 now. I'd take 20. so, so,
Oh, one one small question. Um, um, just thought about it. Maybe you don't have an answer for this, but I am still curious because a while back you made this video about it's called what is this Hydra?
yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know if you remember that video.
yeah.
Have you come up with anything? Because
I
I'm
think
zero
more,
here.
I think it's transhumanism. Because,
Transhumanism.
yeah, it's the idea of trying to leave the limitations of being human.
Oh, okay.
And it just takes different forms. But
Hmm.
Mary Harrington has said some very interesting things about that. And I tend to agree with her. There's other aspects to it, but I think that's basically, you know, whether it's people who are kind of taking certain extreme ecological positions, or whether it's certain extreme racial positions, or certain extreme uh, LGBT positions or gender positions, or there's this, or even with robots and the internet and all of this other stuff. There's this idea that
Hmm.
we need to transcend the limitations of being human in order to fix our problems. But in
Oh,
fact, that will only create more problems, and they'll be
yeah.
much worse. So, meanwhile, my own solution is, you know, uh, stay with the real, stay with the
Hmm.
materials, stay with the truthful things, stay in time, stay uh, uh, connected. There is a God. It can't be proved with material reality, but that was never the case. It was not supposed to be.
Hmm.
Because as soon as you connect the divine to material reality, you start getting idols.
Hmm.
So, and that's how God reveals himself in the Bible, as the still small voice, not as the big earthquakes and thunderstorms and things. So, but meanwhile, the temptation will be for everyone to, it's a bribe. You get to be yourself, but you don't really, because what you really get to do is just simply keep spending money and
Right.
being part of the economy and making other people feel like they're normal for being crazy. So,
Yeah. That's
okay.
a lot of things
Well,
going on here.
I am glad that you, like I said, you've been with following the channel since the beginning, and I'm amazed when anyone is on that long, sticking around that long, because we do, there's a lot of channels I used to subscribe to that I don't anymore, and there is a general, and I'm sure there are some people who said, okay, Bern's just going to say the same stuff, whatever that is, over and over. And, or it's just like, oh, he's doing this again or that again. Or why is he asking for money again? Speaking of which, that's what this is about. Please contribute.
Right.
And, but anyway, okay. Well, I'm going to see you. I'm going to get out of here. And we will, I'm sure we will be in contact again, one way or another.
Yes.
Take care. Get some
All
sleep.
right. Yes, I will.
Okay.
I'm going to work tomorrow anyway.
Right. Good night.
All right. Good night. Thank you.
Okay. And good morning. One last time, if you're listening or watching, there are a few people keeping me on in the background late into the night, evidently. Do feel I do need contributions. I'm up to like $675. And we're working on my goal of getting the freighter from Seattle to Georgia. It's 12 time zones away. So I need to get $6,000 for that. So anything you can contribute will be good. Look at the bottom here. You'll see the links on PayPal or GoFundMe. Either of those are good places. And I'll probably be back. Let's see, what time is it? Well, later this evening here. It's almost 11 o'clock in the morning in Georgia, and I will be back here maybe, I don't know, 7 or 8 o'clock tonight. Thanks for hanging out with me, those few of you who are. See you later.